Adam Crawford was a successful British tech entrepreneur, and Leila Khoury was the mysterious Lebanese beauty he married in a dream wedding in Dubai. But by sunrise, she was dead, and he had vanished into the desert. Dubai, with its glittering skyline and reputation for luxury, had become a playground for the elite. It was the perfect stage for the lavish wedding of Adam Crawford and Leila Khoury, a couple that seemed to belong on the cover of a magazine. Adam, 31, was a successful tech entrepreneur from London, known for his sharp business instincts and rising wealth. Leila, 28, was a striking Lebanese woman with flawless style and an air of mystery that intrigued everyone who met her. She said little about her past but claimed she had moved to Dubai to start fresh, building a quiet career in interior design. Most assumed she came from wealth, though she never confirmed or denied the details. That added to her charm. Their wedding was nothing short of cinematic. Set in a five-star hotel overlooking the Burj Khalifa, the ceremony was attended by over 200 guests. The floral arrangements were imported from Italy, the cake was 5 tiers of edible art, and the guest list included business tycoons, influencers, and distant royalty. The bride wore an ivory designer gown, hand-stitched and sparkling under the golden lights, while the groom arrived in a custom-tailored tuxedo. Leila smiled throughout the evening, greeting guests gracefully, always poised. Adam looked proud, deeply in love, and at times a bit overwhelmed. Those who watched them danced their first dance said it felt like watching something out of a romantic film. Soft music played, the city glowed in the background, and their hands were tightly interlocked. Guests whispered about how lucky Adam was, how enchanting Leila seemed, and how perfect they looked together. No one noticed anything odd, no tension, no signs of anxiety. Just a couple celebrating what looked like the happiest night of their lives. As the evening wore on, the celebration only grew more glamorous. Fireworks exploded over the skyline. Champagne flowed freely. Guests posted envy-inducing photos and videos, tagging the couple and praising the event as the wedding of the year. The suite they had booked for their wedding night was the hotel's most exclusive penthouse floor-to-ceiling windows, a private jacuzzi, silk bedding, and panoramic views of the city. Everything was carefully planned to be unforgettable. Behind the scenes, hotel staff whispered about how particular the bride had been with her arrangements. She had insisted on privacy, avoiding photographers unless she could control the shots. She kept her phone close at all times and seemed slightly tense when approached by anyone she hadn't personally invited. At one point she had stepped out to take a phone call, returning with a forced smile and avoiding questions about it, but guests dismissed these small details as wedding nerves. After all, brides often got stressed. No one expected the night to end in tragedy. No one imagined that within hours, the fairy tale would collapse into a grim crime scene. As the party wound down and the final guests left, the couple retreated to their suite, just the two of them, alone at last. It was supposed to be the beginning of their new life together. Instead, it would mark the end. Morning arrived in Dubai with the usual golden light pouring over glass towers and quiet city streets. But inside the luxurious hotel where Adam and Leila had just celebrated their wedding, something was deeply wrong. Around 10:30 a.m., hotel staff received a call from a neighboring guest on the penthouse floor, reporting loud sounds, thumping, crashing, and shouting coming from the Newlyweds suite during the early morning hours. The noises had stopped suddenly, and no one had seen either the bride or groom since. Housekeeping attempted to enter the suite to begin the scheduled post-wedding cleanup, but no one answered the door. After multiple unanswered calls to the room and Adam's mobile phone, hotel security was notified. At first they expected to find a hungover couple or perhaps an accidental mess from an overly festive night. But what they found behind the door sent a shock through even the most experienced staff. Leila's body lay still on the bed, her wedding dress crumpled and stained with blood. Her face was bruised, her lip cut, and deep red marks circled her neck. There were signs of a violent struggle, furniture overturned, a shattered champagne glass on the floor, and smeared footprints leading to the bathroom. The room was in total disarray. Leila, once the glowing bride hours earlier, was now a lifeless figure in the center of a chaotic crime scene. The horror of the discovery triggered an immediate lockdown of the suite and a call to local police. Dubai authorities arrived swiftly, treating the case with urgency due to its high-profile nature. Adam was nowhere to be found. His passport and phone were missing, but his wallet and watch remained on the nightstand. Security footage quickly became the focus of the investigation. Reviewing the surveillance tapes from the hotel's hallways and parking lot, police discovered a critical piece of evidence. At 3:47 a.m., Adam was seen leaving the penthouse alone. He appeared agitated and confused, his formal jacket missing, his shirt partially untucked. He walked briskly, looking around nervously, and got into a white rental SUV. Less than an hour later, the same vehicle was found abandoned on the outskirts of the Al Marmoum Desert, its keys still in the ignition. From the start, authorities suspected foul play, and Adam became the prime suspect. A missing groom, a dead bride, and an abandoned car, the puzzle pieces formed a chilling picture. The wedding had become a crime scene, and the honeymoon suite was now sealed off with police tape. Forensics teams combed through the area, collecting fingerprints, blood samples, and strands of hair. Preliminary autopsy results later confirmed that Leila had died of strangulation, with injuries suggesting that the attack had been intentional, not spontaneous. The news spread quickly. Media outlets caught wind of the incident, and headlines flashed across screens. Bride murdered hours after Dubai wedding. Groom on the run. Luxury ceremony ends in tragedy. What had begun as the happiest day of two people's lives had ended in a brutal act of violence. And now, the search for Adam Crawford had become an international manhunt. As the investigation deepened, Dubai police turned their attention to understanding who Leila Khoury truly was. The woman whose wedding had made headlines for its extravagance had become the center of a high-profile murder case, and yet, very little was known about her beyond her carefully curated social media presence and a small circle of friends. What investigators soon uncovered would unravel the polished image Leila had built and shift the focus of the case entirely. Leila Khoury didn't exist, not legally. Her passport and immigration documents were genuine but tied to a false identity. After coordination with Interpol and Lebanese authorities, detectives discovered her real name, Rima Nassif. 5 years earlier, Rima had been involved in a string of high-profile scandals in Beirut. Her name had surfaced in police files related to an underground escort operation catering to wealthy businessmen and politicians. More disturbingly, she had been loosely connected to a blackmail scheme that allegedly involved collecting compromising material on influential clients and extorting them. Though never formally charged, Rima had fled Lebanon just as the investigations gained traction. She vanished, leaving behind no trace of her whereabouts. Her trail went cold until she re-emerged in Dubai under the name Leila Khoury, complete with a new backstory, new profession, and a new circle of acquaintances. She lived modestly, blending into high society through charm and discretion. By the time she met Adam Crawford, she had fully stepped into her new identity. Adam, smitten and trusting, had never questioned her past. Authorities began interviewing those who knew Leila in Dubai. A few friends admitted they found her evasive when it came to her background. She never mentioned family. She never posted old photos. One friend noted that Leila once hinted she had gone through something traumatic in Lebanon but quickly brushed it off. Another recalled seeing Leila upset after a phone call weeks before the wedding but couldn't recall any details. These vague warnings took on a darker meaning as police connected them with what came next. The biggest breakthrough came when Adam's phone records were obtained. On the night of the wedding, just hours before Leila's death, Adam had received a phone call from an international number traced to Beirut. It lasted 8 minutes. Moments later, he received an encrypted email containing documents and photos. The timing was crucial. Witnesses recalled Adam behaving normally during most of the reception, but several people now reported he appeared distracted and agitated toward the end of the night. Police were able to recover the contents of the email. It was a detailed dossier outlining Leila's true past. Mugshots, articles from Lebanese tabloids, screenshots from chat logs, and personal images. Everything about her old life was laid bare. Whoever sent the file had done so with purpose. The entire image of Leila as a refined, innocent woman was shattered in one blow. Detectives now believed Adam had discovered the truth on his wedding night, and that revelation may have triggered the violent events that followed. But the mystery deepened further. Who had sent the file, and why? Someone had gone to great lengths to ensure the secret didn't stay buried. The answers to those questions would unlock the next chapter of the story. The Beirut phone number that had shattered the illusion of Leila's identity led investigators to a woman named Nadine Fawzi, a 30-year-old Lebanese national who had once lived in the same circles as Rima Nassif. Nadine had a checkered history, of her own, arrested years ago on charges of theft and suspected fraud, though never convicted. When contacted by authorities, she initially denied any connection to Leila or the email, but under pressure, her story unraveled. Nadine admitted that she had known Rima well. The two had worked together during their time in Beirut, both part of the same high-end escort network that targeted wealthy businessmen and political figures. Nadine described their partnership as intense but unstable. Rima, she claimed, was ambitious, always chasing bigger clients and greater control. At some point, the relationship had soured. Nadine accused Rima of stealing money from a mutual client and using her connections to push Nadine out of the operation. After Rima disappeared, Nadine assumed she'd never see or hear of her again. But years later, a mutual acquaintance stumbled across Leila's Instagram page by chance. There she was, Rima Nassif, now transformed into Leila Khoury, flaunting her engagement ring, posing in luxury boutiques, and preparing to marry into wealth. Nadine's reaction was a mix of shock, anger, and envy. She became obsessed with watching Rima's new life unfold online. The more she saw, the more determined she became to expose her former friend. Using contacts still active in Lebanon's criminal underground, Nadine compiled a dossier on Rima's past. She gathered everything from leaked police reports and old surveillance photos to tabloid articles and transactional records. Then, just hours before the wedding reception ended, She made the call to Adam Crawford, according to her own admission. She wanted him to know the truth. She believed he was being deceived and deserved to know exactly who he was marrying. Her motive, however, wasn't so pure. Investigators noted that she timed the call to inflict maximum damage. She didn't want to stop the wedding before it happened. She wanted to destroy it after. When pressed on whether she anticipated violence, Nadine became defensive. She insisted she never imagined Adam would react the way he did, claiming her only goal was to strip Rima of the fake life she had stolen. Authorities reviewed Nadine's actions carefully but ultimately found that she hadn't broken any laws. She hadn't fabricated the documents, and the information she sent was verifiable. Still, her role in triggering the murder couldn't be ignored. Investigators believed that Adam, already emotionally vulnerable and overwhelmed by the wedding, had spiraled after receiving the file. The confrontation that followed in the honeymoon suite turned deadly, and the carefully controlled world Rima had built collapsed in a matter of minutes, with Nadine's testimony confirming how the secret had come to light. Attention turned back to Adam. He remained missing, but police were confident he was still somewhere within the UAE. The desert car abandonment, the missing passport, the unanswered phone. Each clue pointed toward a man running from more than just justice. He was running from the shame, the betrayal, and the consequences of a decision made in the heat of revelation. Now, all that remained was to find him. 2 weeks after the murder, in the vast emptiness of the Al Mamoum desert, Adam Crawford was found barely conscious by a group of Bedouin camel herders. His skin was blistered from the sun, lips cracked from dehydration, and he had lost over 10 kilograms. He was disoriented, unable to speak clearly, and collapsed before authorities could question him. Paramedics airlifted him to a hospital in Dubai, where he was treated under heavy security. The manhunt had finally ended. As he recovered, police prepared to interrogate him. The evidence against Adam was overwhelming. His fingerprints were all over the scene. He had been seen leaving the hotel alone, and forensic analysis matched his DNA to skin cells found under Leila's fingernails. But what investigators wanted most was a confession and an explanation for what had happened in that suite during the early hours of his wedding night. Once stabilized, Adam was questioned. What he revealed was both chilling and tragic. He admitted to receiving a call from a woman who identified herself as someone from Leila's past. She warned him to check his email immediately. What he found in the attached file stunned him. His new bride, the woman he thought he knew, had lived a double life. The photos, documents, and media coverage painted a picture of someone entirely different from the elegant designer he had fallen in love with. According to Adam, he confronted Leila in their suite after the reception. He asked her if the documents were real. At first, she denied everything, but then, in his version, she began to cry and confessed. Adam claimed the betrayal was so deep, so sudden, that he lost control. He insisted he had not planned to hurt her, saying it was a crime of passion driven by heartbreak and humiliation. But the evidence contradicted that version of events. The coroner's report indicated deliberate strangulation. There were no defensive wounds on Adam, no signs that Leila had initiated a physical fight. The marks on her neck were consistent, with sustained pressure applied with intent. The state of the room, while chaotic, appeared to have been staged to suggest a struggle. Prosecutors argued that Adam, upon discovering the truth, made a conscious decision to kill his wife and flee. During the trial, which began 5 months later, the courtroom was filled daily with journalists, legal experts, and curious members of the public. The story had captivated international audiences: romance, betrayal, hidden identities, and murder in a city known for excess. Adam showed little emotion throughout the proceedings. His defense team leaned heavily on the psychological impact of the revelation, but the court was unmoved. In the end, Adam was found guilty of premeditated murder and sentenced to life imprisonment under UAE law. He would serve his sentence in a high-security Dubai prison. Nadine Fazi, while not charged with any crime, disappeared from public view after the trial. She had delivered the final blow to Rima's carefully rebuilt life, but the damage it caused extended far beyond what she claimed to intend. Leila Rima was buried in Lebanon under her birth name. A few attended her funeral. Her story became a symbol of the dangers of living with secrets and the tragic cost of truth delivered too late.